America, you're not the only one who's spying. You're not the only one who's spying. You're not the only one who has spies in Berlin. You're not the only one with spies in Beijing. Those people have their spies here. And another thing that has been revealed to you openly is that they have entire sleeper nations here. They have sleeper nations here, and the sleeper nations are not even the way that they're depicted in American movies. I saw something that was very heart-wrenching recently. Over 1,022 people lost their lives at the yearly Hajj in Mecca. And I know there will be those who will say, oh yes, it's part of the prophecy that God will judge false religions. This is true. This is part of the prophecy that judgment is coming upon false religions. I've always told you that in foreign countries where you have these Buddhas, you have these Shivas, you have these big gods, these gods are going to fall down and they're going to crush a lot of people in the temples. I've said that entire temples will fall down and the people will be crushed inside. I've said that your temple that is built on the side of the hill will fall in a landslide, killing many. I've said these things because God says that he will not tolerate gods in the earth. And the religion of Islam is, despite the fact that it is monotheistic, and despite the fact that it does derive its roots from Ishmael, who is a descendant of Father Abraham, it doesn't change the fact that it is a false religion. It doesn't matter how much you call it an Abrahamic religion, it is still false, and therefore judgments will come. But when I saw this, I didn't think of judgments will come, prophecy fulfilled. I felt pain, and I said to my intercessor who sent me the news, I said, is this a real headline? That is what I said to her, even though she had sent me a news clipping that I could have clicked on and gone to the video. I said, is this a real headline? And is the number I'm seeing correct? And as I said that, I remembered my own prophecy where God said that the judgments we will see coming, when we see the number on the headline, we will say, did they make a mistake with the zeros? Did they go wrong here? Is this a typo, a printing error? At the time she sent it to me, it said 922. And I thought, that is a few from 1,000. How did 1,000 people die at the same time? And so without even checking it, I said to her, is this a real headline? Is this number correct? And she said yes. And to my mind, that is over 1,000 people who have left this earth at the snap of a finger without ever being able to make it right with Jesus Christ. This is 1,000 people who are now beyond the veil, where no one can reach them. They have now gone outside into the darkness, where they are waiting to be raised on the last day, to be asked, did you know the Lord? And did you come into the knowledge of Christ Jesus? Their answer will automatically have to be no. And then they will be denied entry into the rest of God. The arms of God, eternal fellowship with God. They will go where the worm does not cease to turn, where the fire is always hot. Into darkness, where they will chew their tongues. This is 1,000 people at one fell swoop. And yet here in America, people are running around like lemmings, trying to bash each other over the head about which party is better than which party. There's cognitive dissonance here. We're like an island cut off from an understanding of what the real world is like. And that is why when the real world hard impacts up, there's going to be a lot of crying here. When the real world hard impacts us, a lot of crying, a lot of shock, a lot of how could it happen to us? And I'm here to tell you that the people in the world will not have pity. By and large, of course, your fans will always pity you. The majority of the nations. I am telling you that sometimes when I'm going over the prophecies, I just see people celebrating the way they celebrated on 9/11. If that was not a lesson to the people in this country, that you are hated from a very deep place because of who you are and what this nation represents to others. You hear prophecies and you hear that God says not a single person will come to help you. This is France. France will not come to help. If the EU is not coming to help you, then what are you doing in NATO, America? What are you doing in NATO? Do you know how weird it is to be in the midst of who you call friends? And inside, the friends are not friends. Because when you fall down and you need them most, they will say, no, it's not worth it to get my people killed. Do you see what Russia did to Oklahoma? Did you see what Russia did to Florida? I cannot risk my citizens. This nation represents something that causes bitterness rather than joy to rise up in the hearts of the majority. And to constantly say, we don't care about that. We don't care about that. We're the greatest. As the birds sit in their groups and chatter, God says that the falcon and the eagle are coming to hunt them and to tear them from their nests of security. Just understand that people will be taken from their homes in the early morning. People will be taken from their homes at all hours of the night, and they will be sent to the processing centers once Russia and China have secured the borders of this nation. Do you not know that falcons and eagles don't rest, but they roam the skies looking for smaller and weaker animals to eat? And when God was saying this, the animal that I actually saw, the eagle lifting up to my shocked eyes, was a small deer. I did not know that eagles have the strength to lift a baby deer. But as he was saying this and I was writing it down, I saw an animal struggling as those talons locked onto it. And the animal that was taken up into the sky was not a chipmunk. It was not a raccoon. It was not a chicken. It was not even the birds that God was saying that these animals can swoop and grab you from right on your eggs and carry you to a fate worse than death. It was a deer. And God says that these animals are restless and they roam the sky constantly looking for their prey. So I think it should be understood here today, if you haven't understood it before, that America, you're not the only one who's spying. You're not the only one who's spying. You're not the only one who has spies in Berlin. You're not the only one with spies in Beijing. Those people have their spies here. And another thing that has been revealed to you openly is that they have entire sleeper nations here. They have sleeper nations here, and the sleeper nations are not even the way that they're depicted in American movies. The sleeper nation is the husband of American people. So you're a pure blood American person, and your husband appears to be a pure blood American person, but he is a Russian born here as part of a plot that is definitely older than me. He's Russian. He has Russian sympathies. He has a Russian passport. His last name is either standardized Russian or it's completely changed into an American last name. Bland and mundane. Smith or Brown. He looks like you. He's blonde and blue eyes. He looks like you. He's brunette. He ran track at Princeton. He is Russian. He's the sleeper nation. And I've shared, as the prophecies were developing, God gave me a prophecy and I saw it. He said that the day will come when they will celebrate their victory within the borders of the United States. And the previous vision that you heard me speak about, the person who dropped the orange juice, after some years, as I'm sitting here and making the prophecies, one day God opened my understanding and I understood why it is when the Russians take over, they will not come and say, America, you have been defeated. We, the Russians, have been successful. And now we have captured your broadcasting station and we are now broadcasting to you. They're going to be broadcasting in Russian for two reasons. God brought this understanding to me because I'm patient. The first reason will be to cause fear. It is a terrible thing to put the TV on and expect to see a familiar, friendly face telling you clear skies this morning, and you hear Russian language. It will be to cause fear. You will think that it's a program. You will take the thing and flick it to NBC and the same Russian man will be there. You will flick it to Newsmax. The same Russian man will be there. You will flick it even to PBS, your trusted friend, and the Russian guy will be there. The Russian general with his hat on will be there speaking in Russian. That is deliberate to cause fear. But the second part God revealed to me, I think years after I made that prophecy. And he says that they will make that announcement because they're actually speaking to the sleeper cells in the country. They're going to be speaking to them in their language because they know that they can hear their language. Russians learn their language. They appear American. They know their language. And they will be being told, the work has been successful. We have accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. If you can understand this message, do not be afraid. And the reason for that is because there are Russians living all throughout the United States that have nothing to do with this. They have no idea about what is coming. They moved here because they were being persecuted. They moved here for economic security. They moved here because they wanted their kids to grow up in a better environment. And so they have no idea of the master plot. And that is understandable because even China isn't telling all its citizens there is a master plot. The citizens that need to know. The ones who have been trained to have the American accent, the ones that have been trained to keep their Chinese accent, but to come here and go to UC Berkeley and marry you afterwards. And then you're like, oh, this is my husband, Chris Wong. That is General Wong to you. He's not Chris Wong. He is General Wong to you. You just don't know it.